A life-taker changed his story 7 times and led police on a nationwide wild goose chase. The real reason he will never reveal where he hid the body will leave you speechless. You have to stick until the end to hear the undercover operation that secretly recorded the accomplice's mother for 2 years. On January 24, 2009, in the Spanish city of Seville, the ordinary rhythms of life were broken in a way that would etch itself forever into the memory of a nation. 17-year-old Marta del Castillo, a girl full of promise, dreams, and the simple hopes of adolescence, left her home that evening after speaking briefly with her father in the hallway. Antonio del Castillo reminded his daughter not to get on Miguel Carcano's motorcycle, advice spoken with a father's instinctive caution. Marta responded only with a kiss on his cheek, the last act of tenderness he would ever receive from her. At around 5:30 p.m., she stepped outside, rushing to meet Miguel, her boyfriend, to clear up tensions in their relationship. Hours passed, night drew in, and she never returned. As minutes stretched into eternity, her family's anxiety grew unbearable. Her mother, Eva Casanueva, began making calls, searching for her daughter's whereabouts, hearing the same refrain again and again, that Marta must be with Miguel. But Miguel was not answering, and Antonio, increasingly desperate, walked to his house, ringing the bell in vain. By 2 in the morning, hope had given way to terror, and the family filed a missing persons report, initiating a saga that would soon evolve into one of Spain's most notorious and agonizing criminal cases, a wound that refused to heal. The days that followed were filled with chaos and despair. Protocol dictated that police could not begin an official search until hours had passed. So 17 hours after the family's first plea for help, the authorities began their work. The delay alone filled Eva and Antonio with anger and helplessness, as though the system itself had turned against them. Meanwhile, Marta's disappearance rapidly drew attention beyond her immediate circle. Friends, neighbors, and then strangers joined the effort to find her. Posters spread, her face stared back from walls and lampposts, and vigils began to form. Demonstrations filled the streets of Seville with chants of "We are all Marta," as thousands rallied to support a grieving family and demand answers. But the truth was far darker than anyone dared imagine. After 21 days of anguish, on February 13, 2009, police finally arrested Miguel Carcano. Only 20 years old, he quickly admitted responsibility, confessing that he had unalived Marta and disposed of her body in the Guadalquivir River. But even in confession, there was deceit. Miguel was not alone, he claimed. He pointed to his friend Samuel Benitez as an accomplice who helped him get rid of the body. Soon more names were dragged into the web. Javier Garcia Marin, nicknamed El Cuco, a troubled miner known for his rebellious behavior. Francisco Javier Delgado, Miguel's older brother, and Delgado's girlfriend, Maria Garcia. Each new accusation created fresh ripples of suspicion, and the case ballooned into a labyrinth where truth and lies became indistinguishable. The version Miguel told first placed Marta's body in the river. Police mobilized resources, divers plunged into the depths of the Guadalquivir, and the search became one of the largest ever seen in Spain. Day after day, boats, sonar equipment, and divers scoured the waters, but no trace of Marta was found. Weeks later, Miguel changed his story, claiming instead that Marta had been unalived after being abused by him and El Cuco, and that her body was later thrown into a garbage container. With this new statement, the river search was abandoned and focus shifted to landfills. Mountains of garbage were sifted, entire sections of waste combed through with painstaking effort. It was a task of unimaginable proportions. 40,000 tons of refuse shifted by teams working day after day. And yet, nothing. The body remained missing, and each failed search deepened the despair of her parents. Every lie Miguel told not only obscured the truth, but also pained Eva and Antonio further, offering hope only to snatch it away. The house at Leon 13, Miguel's residence, became the focal point of the investigation. Forensic teams swept through it, finding damning evidence. Traces of Marta's blood on Miguel's jacket, fibers and DNA on rolls of tape, fingerprints on bottles. The findings contradicted Miguel's shifting accounts, but instead of clarity, they added to the fog. Each forensic discovery suggested Marta's presence, her violent end within those walls, but never revealed where her body had been taken. In court, Miguel gave yet another version, this time saying he had struck her with an ashtray during an argument. Later, he denied even this. His brother and Maria Garcia denied everything, insisting ignorance. And yet the evidence lingered, stubborn, like shadows that would not dissipate. The trials began in 2011, attracting immense national attention. Over 90 witnesses testified, including police officers, forensic experts, and family members. The courtroom was not only a place of justice but a theater of collective grief. Crowds gathered outside, pressing against police barriers, demanding answers, demanding the return of Marta's body. Delgado and Maria Garcia appeared wearing balaclavas and sunglasses, but nothing shielded them from the insults and anger of the crowd. Even El Cuco's mother, Rosalia, attempted to defend her son, appearing on television interviews with her face covered, claiming his innocence while earning 10,000 euros for her participation. For the grieving parents, each statement was another wound. Eva and Antonio testified about their suffering, about jobs abandoned, depression swallowing their lives, and the torment of waking each day not knowing where their daughter lay. In January 2012, after years of shifting lies and unrelenting searches, the jury delivered its verdict. Miguel Carcano was sentenced to 21 years and 3 months in prison for Marta's life-taking, banned for 30 years from living in the same city as her family, and ordered to pay compensation to her parents and sisters. But the others, Delgado, Maria Garcia, and Samuel Benitez, were acquitted, deemed innocent for lack of sufficient evidence placing them at the crime scene. For Eva and Antonio, the decision was devastating. The conviction of Miguel meant little when the greatest truth, the location of Marta's body, remained hidden. They wanted a grave to visit, a place to bring flowers, a final act of closure. Instead, they were left with emptiness, a judicial ruling that closed doors but not wounds. But even prison walls could not silence Miguel's deceit. He spun story after story, reinventing the crime 7 times. In 2013, he accused his own brother, saying a heated dispute over a fraudulent mortgage ended with Delgado striking Marta fatally when she tried to intervene. He claimed Delgado called someone unknown, that he himself fled the house in terror, leaving Marta lifeless. In another version, he said the body was taken with the help of El Cuco, transported by wheelchair to a farm in La Rinconada. The police, against their better judgment, followed these leads, digging fields, excavating farms, scanning 10,000 square meters with radar. The soil was turned over on 6 farms, every spot of earth examined where movements had been detected in recent years. Again, nothing. The body remained hidden, and each new lie Miguel uttered drained more hope for Marta's parents. In their desperation, Eva and Antonio clung even to the slimmest threads. Antonio visited Miguel in prison, pleading with him to reveal the truth. He even told him he had purchased the flat at Leon 13, promising it would be his after release if only he disclosed Marta's resting place. Eva wrote a heartfelt letter, begging Miguel to give her the peace of knowing where her daughter lay, to end the cruel pain of uncertainty. But Miguel never answered, choosing instead to weave new fictions. Their pleas were met only with silence or further lies. The years dragged on, and the case became a symbol of both public outrage and institutional failure. Demonstrations continued each anniversary of Marta's disappearance, candles lit across Spain, thousands demanding justice. Yet the searches became more costly and less fruitful. Ministers halted operations when funds ran out. The Interior Ministry calculated the expenses, over 600,000 euros, and demanded compensation from the defendants, though nothing was ever paid. Investigators began to lose hope. For the parents, the weight of absence grew heavier each passing year. A remarkable twist came with the infiltration of Oscar, an undercover operative who befriended Rosalia, El Cuco's mother. For over 2 years, he built her trust, recording 600 hours of conversations. He promised companionship, convinced her of plans to escape abroad together, and in that intimacy captured her careless admissions. He recorded El Cuco himself, who once slipped and admitted he had helped dispose of Marta's body, only to hastily retract the statement. These tapes should have been vital, but for years they lay unused, their existence barely acknowledged by the courts. Only in 2022 did they resurface, 13 years after Marta's disappearance, providing proof of perjury and obstruction. In May 2022, a new judicial process began, bringing Rosalia and El Cuco back to court. Both denied knowing the truth, but their contradictions were stark. By June, both were convicted of perjury, sentenced to 2.5 years in prison and fined. Yet for Eva and Antonio, these sentences meant nothing. Money, punishment, prison terms, none of it mattered without their daughter's body. They wanted Marta, only Marta, and the truth still eluded them. Later that year, the courts declared the search officially closed. The legal time limit for investigation expired. With it, the last official hope was extinguished. The flat at Leon 13, soaked in memories of lies and violence, was sold. Eva and Antonio, broken but unyielding, made peace with the cruel fact that Miguel would never reveal the truth. The files of the case were shut, joining the archive of unresolved tragedies. Marta's story was left without an ending, her body still hidden by those who chose silence over compassion. And so Spain remembers not only the crime but the unbearable cruelty of uncertainty. For Marta del Castillo, a girl who left home with a kiss on her father's cheek, there is still no grave, no peace, only the echo of a name shouted in protests, written on banners, whispered in prayers, and carried in the hearts of those who refuse to forget. Now that you've heard Marta's story, how do you view the countless lies told by Miguel Carcano and the silence of those who knew more than they admitted? What do you think about a justice system that closed the case without ever finding her body? Do you believe the full truth will ever be revealed? Share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe for more true crime documentaries.